So, Nick, what's going on, bud? How are you?
Good, man. How about you?
I just can't wait to put a bow on this horrible fucking year that we've had and kind of call it a day, right?
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to in 2021.
There
So
is. There is. And that's
it's
what we're here to
good.
talk about today.
Absolutely.
We got we've done a lot of Star Wars conversations. We talked about the boys. We even did some DC with our Wonder Woman review, but
Yeah,
we haven't given any love to the Marvel universe. So,
not
um,
yet.
so for this video, we're gonna run through in as quick of time as possible the entire 2021 slate for Marvel Studios for both TV shows and movies, which is going to be a Herculean effort because
Yep.
they have 6 shows coming out on Disney Plus and 3 movies that are produced by them and 1 movie that is produced by them in tandem with Sony Pictures that's coming at the end of the year. So if you're ready to dive into it, let's do this.
Let's get into it.
All right, cool. So, in just a little bit over 2 weeks' time, the first ever Marvel Studios Disney Plus television show is going to be WandaVision, and that stars Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, and Paul Bettany as Vision, which is supposed to be a romp through a whole bunch of different decades worth of television shows. Catherine Hahn is in there as a nosy neighbor. We don't really know why she's there. We also don't really know why Vision is there because he's supposed to be dead.
Right.
Pretty interesting. Looks like we should also get some tie-ins with older Monica Rambeau, the adult version of the kid from Captain Marvel.
Yep.
Kat Dennings is back for the first time since Thor: The Dark World as Darcy Lewis. And Randall Park is coming back from his Ant-Man and the Wasp role as FBI agent Jimmy Woo. So
Hey.
This show seems like it's going to be completely batshit insane.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, Nick, what do you think is going to be something crazy that's going to come out of it? But I'm challenging you here. What's going to be the wild thing that happens in WandaVision that gets everybody talking?
Yeah, man. There's so much that we've tried to pick apart just from the trailers alone.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think we might be fooled at what will happen and what we can expect to happen because of all the theories out there, whether this is some world that Wanda has made up and that Vision is just literally a figment of her imagination, or has she literally gone insane and has opened up some sort of madness, if you will, which could lead into Doctor Strange 2,
Yep.
which I think this is really where it's going. But I feel like there's something has to literally be like ripped open, like a tear in the universe, if you will, that is going to throw the entire MCU into something that we didn't expect. And I think it's something that could only maybe be done in the comics, but the fact that it's being done, or hopefully being done in the streaming to movie world is awesome. It's exciting to see. I think if I would maybe like to see someone like Ghost Rider come out, just from some sort of supernatural-esque possibility. Like Ghost Rider would be, I think he would probably appear from either Doctor Strange 2 or something that has to do with Wanda, which she's in Doctor Strange 2, right? So it's
right.
Either or, but that would be my wild expectation. Or
would it be the Nicolas Cage portrayed Ghost Rider?
Man, good old Johnny Blaze, right? That's the thing, right? If they find someone else to portray him, people will make that absurd comparison,
right,
to the old, God, when did that movie come out? 2007 or something?
I don't know, man.
It was
long time ago.
Yeah,
the Dark Ages.
Yeah, it was like 15 years ago, before Marvel movies were coherent and made a lot
good
of
way
money.
of putting it. Yeah.
Nothing like to say anything against the maybe 1 or 2 X-Men movies and Spider-Man 2, or even one for that matter, but it's completely different, and that's the Fox era, which it's still trucking. Well, right. Well, it'll be trucking in a different direction, I guess.
Is it done now? New Mutants was it, right?
Yeah, I think so New Mutants is it, thankfully, but
we're moving all the good guys home. Fantastic Four, John Watts is directing that shit. Excited for it. It's going to be good. X-Men are next. I have a feeling, but I think for me with WandaVision, we are going to get our first glimpse of Mephisto in the MCU, the devil himself. And I have a feeling that he's going to be the one that's pulling the strings that is causing Wanda to lose her mind, that leads into Doctor Strange 2. That's my hope / wild prediction for that show.
That would be that'd be awesome to see, because it also provides another a big bad
Right.
in the MCU. I know we've already gotten word that Jonathan Majors will be portraying Kang the Conqueror,
Yeah.
which, I mean, if anyone knows, the backstory behind Kang the Conqueror, like, he's pretty damn powerful and has a great story. So I really hope to touch upon that, which I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I think they will too.
Just like they have with Thanos. So it's almost like I wonder when we'll start to see things with Kang. But in the interim of things, it's kind of like, no pun intended for having Vision in the show, but it's like he says in, what is it, Civil War, where uh, more power is evoking greater threats.
Mm-hmm.
So as maybe Wanda is getting more powerful, which we all know that she could have just 1v1 Thanos,
yep,
and come out victorious. With her getting more powerful, hey, maybe that's Mephisto going, I'm going to start pulling your strings and messing with your mind,
using her.
Right, exactly. So that's a good possibility. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I'd be down for it. But we don't have to wait long. We're going to find out in just a few weeks here, and it sounds like that show is going to be 8 episodes, which is perfect. So which will lead us, I think they'll have 1 week off if they do the 8 episode route, and then on March 19th we get the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was supposed to be the first Disney Plus Marvel show, but because of coronavirus filming issues, it got bumped back a little bit. But it's going to basically pick up where Avengers Endgame left off. Sam Wilson coming back as Falcon, Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. Love the chemistry between those two. Wyatt Russell is joining the cast, and he's playing John Walker, who is U.S. agent, which is, as we know from the comics, a government-appointed Captain America, which should be pretty interesting. Emily Van Camp is also coming back as Sharon Carter from the Captain America movies. Daniel Bruhl is also going to be back as Helmut Zemo from Civil War.
It's going to be cool.
And I think it was almost 2 years ago now at Comic-Con, they showed the thing where he put the purple mask on, and I instantly got hyped. It's going to be very interesting. But this one seems like a very epic show. I think reports were saying that the budget for it's around like $25 million per episode, which is basically a Marvel movie every single week, which is kind of incredible. So
it's awesome.
I think, because of the world hopping that I've seen from the trailers and the Instagram posts from the actors, this one's going to be interesting. But I think this might be the one where we introduce mutants and maybe Wolverine.
I would love to see any mutant make an appearance of some way. I know there's a lot of talk about Falcon taking up the shield, because Falcon at one point does become Captain America in the comics. Bucky does too at one point. And I think that's when Steve Rogers died at one point in the comics too. So there's another possibility that Sharon Carter becomes Captain America.
All right.
I wondered if they would go that route. I don't know. I think I think the safe route of going with an aforementioned Captain America would be with Falcon.
Yeah, no, I think Endgame sets that up with him saying the shield is yours, you've earned it. That's why you'll be good with it or whatever. So,
which it's strange, because in the trailers that we've seen so far, we don't really see him completely wielding the shield. So it's like, where is it? Why isn't he wielding it?
I think you're getting a red, white, and black type storyline where the government suppresses him because they don't want the Black Captain America, and by the end of the show, he finally takes up the mantle and ditches the Falcon name and becomes full on Cap. But either way, I'm hyped, man. The trailer for that from the Investor Day was When Bucky does that, he brings back the knife throwing and whatnot.
Yeah, that
Yep.
GIF
Mm-hmm.
is badass.
Yep.
I'm kind of wondering if I need to cut my hair, so I can continue to look like Bucky.
You have to do the cosplay. You might have to trim the beard up a little bit too. You're
Yeah,
a little bit bushy there.
if it's I know it's more like it's more like cap status, I guess. But if it's for the cosplay, that's for the cosplay.
That is true. So
Gotta please the fans.
yep. So if we go through that, if we get 6 episodes, which I think is what we're supposed to get for that, that'll take us right up until May. And on May 7th, we finally, an entire year later, get the theatrical release of Black Widow, which doesn't really necessarily fit into the timeline because it takes place
Yeah.
before Avengers Infinity War. It's kind of like a prequel of sorts to that. And I guess it's going to show a little bit of Natasha's backstory in between Civil War and Infinity War. So she goes back and meets back up with some of her old friends. She's got Yelena Belova, played by Florence Pugh, Melina Vostokov, played by Rachel Weisz, and David Harbour from Stranger Things is rocking as Alexei Shostakov, otherwise known as the Red Guardian, which is basically Russian Captain America, but packed on a few pounds, got a big beard. Should be fun. William Hurt is also going to be in this, playing Secretary of State Ross, which is very interesting, because that leads me into my theory that at the end of this movie, in the post-credit scene, he is going to turn into Red Hulk.
Man, that would be my crazy hope, my expectation to see Red Hulk.
Right.
I mean, I guess we can get into something else soon, Hulk related, but it's something that would be pretty cool to see finally after getting Green Hulk for a number of movies and then Professor Hulk.
Yep.
So that would be really cool, and it's about damn time, honestly.
Yeah, I think so. And you don't bring him into that movie if you're not going to do something like that, I don't think.
Yeah, because it's like, here's comic canon, and it's just left on the table and it doesn't get touched.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. You don't let that steak go cold. You eat that shit.
Absolutely. So what do you think is going to happen in this movie that's going to just blow people's minds? Who's Taskmaster? You think Taskmaster is anybody important, or do you think it's just like a random dude?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do with Taskmaster, because it's in my opinion, he's a cool villain, but I don't really know if he's going to have any significance past this sort of timeline. Now, maybe if he's not dead by the end of the movie, I think it would be kind of cool to bring him back at some point. But again, how many times are you going to reuse a villain from a previous movie that's not a big bad guy? Like, it's like saying, like, look how big Ultron was, and Ultron's huge in the comics, and he only got one movie.
Yep.
And granted, it was for the entire Avengers team, not just one movie with one of the Avengers themselves. So I don't think we'll see him past this, but I'd like to see maybe something shocking, just maybe from a thematical standpoint of the Black Widow program.
Okay.
Something that's maybe more philosophically mind-shattering.
Okay.
It's like, damn, like that's what Black Widow had to endure.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of get, if you read the comics, you can kind of understand a little bit more, but I think just for the viewership on a TV show, or rather a movie, it's like something like that would be pretty cool. I don't know if they'll do that, if they'll go super in depth, but
I think they might, because it feels like a more grounded movie, kind of like a Winter Soldier kind of vibe. Right. And so I think anything's possible. I think it could happen, but excited to finally see it, because I wanted to see it 6 months ago.
Right. I know.
But that's not the only release that Marvel is pumping out in the month of May. If one major MCU movie was not enough for you, you're also getting an entire series surrounded by Loki.
Yeah.
So Tom Hiddleston is coming back. Obviously, we saw in Avengers Endgame, he picked up the Tesseract, zorked himself out into another timeline, and this show basically picks up with that. He as you can see in the trailer, he's in prison with the Time Variance Authority, which is
Right.
very interesting. It looks like Owen Wilson plays his parole officer.
So great.
And I think
Wow.
his name is Morbius M. Morbius is his character's name in the show, which is just
Yeah.
like
Very,
it's
very interesting.
totally wild.
Yeah.
That trailer blew my mind. It looks like
Same.
everything that happens in that film or in that show is going to like explain all the weird unsolved mysteries of the United States, which is
Yeah.
pretty fascinating. But I don't even know what to predict for this one, other than I think we're going to see more than one Loki if they do anything similar to what the comics do. And I also think I know that Jonathan Majors was cast as Kang the Conqueror for Ant-Man 3, but I think they made that casting as quickly as they did because they want him to show up in this show because it has to do with time travel and time variance.
Yeah, I think this could be the show where we maybe get more than a mentioning of Kang the Conqueror. We might see a little bit of him in some form and some time. Pun intended there. So yeah, this show, I can't wait for this. Honestly, I think it. Before we saw the trailer, I'm like, what are they going to do with this?
Yep.
Sure, we see him get the Tesseract, but where is he going to go? How is Loki going to come back around? Where's his comeback going to go? Again, what significance is this going to have? I don't know if he'll come and make an appearance. I don't think he got casted for Thor: Love and Thunder.
Not as of right now.
So I wonder if maybe if they do like a Thor 5, perhaps, or
maybe.
another conglomerate Avengers thematical movie, maybe he appears there.
Yeah. Tom Hiddleston is not afraid to come back. He has done more than his fair share of these Marvel films. So
that he likes the role. People love him as a character and actor. So it would make sense to just kind of keep him coming along, and especially the chemistry that Hiddleston and Hemsworth have.
Yeah,
it's just great to see.
Do get help.
Yeah.
I love that.
Please, I don't want to do get help again.
So funny. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I think that's another 6-episode show. So that should take us through part of May and part of June, and then on July 9th, we get Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which is going to be first MCU movie centered on an Asian lead, played by Simu Liu, who has not a huge resume, which I love. I love when they take actors that, it's not like, oh, look, it's Tom Cruise playing Iron Man. Like you can really dive into the character when it's not somebody you've seen in too much before. So, Michelle Yeoh, Awkwafina, Ronnie Chang, all joining the film. Not really sure what we're going to see in this one. It sounds like it's a martial arts style movie. Obviously, Shang-Chi is very powerful. He gets his power from the 10 rings, which is something we've seen in the Iron Man movies, especially Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting because it seems like the Mandarin is going to be the villain of this, but the Mandarin, quote unquote, was the villain of Iron Man 3, but it was a big cop out. So I have absolutely no idea what to predict for this show or this movie, other than the fact that I think it's just going to be like completely nuts.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a great deal of martial arts, which is great. It's something we haven't seen a lot of in the MCU. Unfortunately, Iron Fist on Netflix wasn't the best.
We don't talk about it.
Right. It's like the redheaded stepchild that we don't kind of talk about. I apologize if you are redheaded, nothing against you. But unless your name's Austin Carlisle.
Hey.
But anyway, it's one of those things where I hope it's somewhat over the top with martial arts. I imagine the choreography is going to be awesome. Very well done. I think Mandarin, will the real Mandarin please stand up? I mean, because it's like that was a qualm that I had with Iron Man 3 is you've got this great villain, this bad guy like Mandarin, and he's nobody.
Right.
Yeah, a fake.
The drunk, an actor.
Right. Yeah, and it's like I kind of felt robbed, and I know all people felt the same, but to see the real Mandarin take form and prove to be a worthy opponent. It'll be pretty cool. Aside from that, yeah, I'm not too sure. Unfortunately, I don't really know too much about that backstory. But again, like I think, like you said, having a no name actor be the main protagonist on this movie is great because again, where I feel like I might put a little pressure on the expectation of how he might do. At the
Right.
same time, it's sort of like he could come out and be a star,
Yep.
and,
Huge.
I don't know if you probably remember when he was at Comic-Con that he came out on stage for,
Yep.
and he talked about his story where he was just posting stuff on Twitter,
Yep.
and then
He
they were
willed
like,
it into existence,
right,
basically.
yeah. So he basically used the law of attraction, which you know uh, worked apparently. So it's almost like everyone watching this video right now would be great if you liked this video, if you like it, and subscribe to our channel and
Yes.
leave comments whether you think our predictions, our expectations are too far off the wall or if we're right, and we can have a conversation that way. But I think he'll do well.
Oh
I
yeah, I think
think
so.
I'm not worried about this movie whatsoever.
Yeah.
So
I'm not worried about any Marvel project. Like that's
yeah,
the best thing about them is that I have so much faith in Feige
yeah,
and his team that I'm going to be entertained no matter what. But
yep,
um, speaking of Feige and his team, a bold move for them is what we move into in the summer of 2021, which is What If, which is Marvel's
mm,
first animated show. They're really diving in head first to this, which I think is super cool because there was a line of the comics that was what if this happened, what if that happened.
yep,
And it sounds like some of the storylines we're getting are what if Peggy Carter took the super serum instead of Steve Rogers and becomes Captain Britain? What if instead of picking up Peter Quill, Yondu stole a young T'Challa and he became Star Lord? It seems like we're getting some. There's like a zombie Captain America fighting Bucky at one point.
yeah,
Really, a whole bunch of just weird, wild stuff that we don't know what to expect. But they did get a lot of the MCU actors to come in and do the voice work for this. So Hemsworth, Hiddleston, Sam Jackson, Jeremy Renner, Paul Rudd, Mark Ruffalo, Michael B. Jordan, Michael Douglas, Josh Brolin, you name it. If they're in the MCU, they're going to show up in this. Jeffrey Wright, who is famous for playing Arnold on Westworld.
yeah.
He's going to be the Watcher. He's the series narrator, which I think is actually really cool.
I think that's a little Easter egg,
I think
but
so
I
too.
think that's also a setup. So it's almost like people are saying, well, the what if isn't doesn't have any continuity. I think it does.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just put the Watcher in
Right.
any show or any movie and not let him have any significance, because if you know about the comics, the Watcher is one of the most powerful beings
Mm-hmm.
in Marvel. So him narrating all this to us, I think it's
Big,
a
big deal.
foretelling of what's to come within the next decade of the MCU and streaming services, or rather streaming shows.
Yep.
And I know this is also the last time we actually hear Chadwick Boseman,
I'm
which
gonna
I
cry.
think,
It's
yeah,
gonna
dude,
suck.
it's gonna be heavy. I think it's gonna hit a lot of emotions with people.
Yeah. I'm
Because
delaying watching that movie on Netflix that he's in now, where he's in the jazz band playing
oh
trumpet,
yeah,
because I just don't want to see his face because it's gonna tear me up. But
yeah,
yeah, but yeah, really excited for that, and I think the Watcher thing is something to watch, no pun intended, as we move forward. But next up on the Disney Plus slate, with a release date that just says late 2021, is Miss Marvel, which is Marvel's first Muslim lead character.
yep,
Some people may have been introduced to Kamala Khan earlier this year in the Avengers video game, which was awesome. She was super fun to play as. She's a Captain Marvel super fan,
yep,
and she starts out as not somebody who has abilities and then develops them, and her body basically can stretch and grow. I think embiggen is the word they use in the comics
yeah.
for what she does. And she's awesome. She's kind of like a Mr. Fantastic almost, with the the stretching ability and everything. Should be really fun. Not a whole lot of details out there. They did say at Investor Day that the girl that they got to play her, whose name is Iman Vellani. This is her first thing that she's acted in, like, period,
Ever.
that's
Yeah.
major. So that's also, again, really cool doing that. They did announce that she's going to appear in Captain Marvel 2. So maybe we might get a Brie Larson appearance as Captain Marvel, as the Stinger for this one. But not a lot of details about a villain or theme of the show or anything. But they are filming now, so I don't know. What do you think about this one?
I think it'll be pretty interesting because it sets up the Inhumans, and
Oh yeah, that's
one of
right.
my favorite Inhumans is Black Bolt.
Yep.
I think whenever we get to see Black Bolt done properly, not like the
Not the
terrible.
ABC
Oh
TV
my
show.
god,
Oh,
it's like you
nope.
destroyed my version of Black Bolt. Like I have his comic runs and everything like that. So it's I love the character, and there's a lot of room that they can go with this story, and I'd be curious to see whenever they actually start to include more Inhumans, and again, I wonder what they're going to do with that whole story
Yeah.
of her, how because I don't know if it's going to be this has already like the Terrigen bomb has already happened, and here's Ms. Marvel, who's just a big super fan of Captain Marvel. I'm kind of curious where the timeline will be in this because
Yeah.
you know whereas Adelan, like there's so much that I think people might ask a lot of questions about, and rightfully
Yeah.
so. But I think this is a show with it just needs to have some precautions, and I hope I hope it gets told right. I think Captain Marvel would be the surprise
Yep.
sort of character.
Yeah, Miss
Um,
Marvel defeats the bad guys at the end, and then like
mm,
Captain Marvel shows up to be like, "Damn, kid, you did a good job. Come with me and let's have adventures together."
right, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're a fan? Here's an autograph. Like, but yeah, it'll be cool. I'll quickly say that she was a bit of a sleeper character in the Avengers game.
Mhm.
Say what you will about the game. It was still a lot of fun to
Oh yeah,
play,
super fun.
and yeah, she had some nasty moves in that game. Like you could definitely get some combos going. But
I mean, if you
so I'm
kick
sure,
somebody and they move like an entire football field worth of distance because her foot is like gigantic, it's
yeah.
pretty
So
badass.
I don't know what the budget is for that series or anything
Oh
like
yeah.
that, but I'll be curious to see how often they take advantage of her powers,
Yeah.
and how often we see her go, you know, giant
Yep.
within Big N. So
Yep. Should be fun. Um, the final Disney Plus show, number 6 on the slate for 2021, is Hawkeye. And Hawkeye being, at this point, I think the only Avenger that never got his own movie. He's getting his
rip,
own TV show, but he's a co-lead in this one. So this
yeah,
show is all about setting up the Kate Bishop character, who's going to be played by Haley Steinfeld, which is a casting that Kevin Feige was after for a very long time.
yeah,
She becomes Clint Barton's mentee, eventually takes on the mantle of Hawkeye, which is going to be pretty cool. It looks like Florence Pugh is going to reprise her role from Black Widow in this, which interesting because Black Widow and Hawkeye have a history.
yep,
And a lot of people think that Florence Pugh's character might become the new Black Widow by the time that Black Widow movie is over. So be pretty interesting. That's been filming in New York, I think, almost
yeah.
exclusively. And the behind the scenes shots that people are getting, the paparazzi, it looks very cool. So I'm very excited for that one. I think maybe, just maybe, this is a wild prediction, Clint might die in the show.
Ooh, man, that would be heavy.
Big swing, I know, but it makes it like you have to watch the shows on Disney Plus because you never know what might happen. An Avenger might die. So
That's true, and it would be the first big and previously major character from the movies to die in one of the Marvel shows. So, yeah, man, that actually might happen. Come to think of it, aside from that, if he lives, I mean, what's he gonna do? Just say like, "I'm too old. I can't do this anymore."
I'm retired, I have a family. That's boring.
I mean,
He's gonna go out on his shield.
he did that before with,
Right.
after
Civil War.
yeah, Civil War,
Yeah.
the Sokovia Accords or whatever, and then his entire family goes missing, and then he's like, "I'm Ronin."
I wonder if we'll get any Ronin backstory in that show.
Yeah, Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool.
Because I was hyped for Ronan in Endgame, and then it was like 6 minutes of him tearing
Yeah.
people up, and then he went right back to being Hawkeye. So
Yeah, I wonder if he goes that route in the show, but maybe also still dies. I don't know. I don't know how Jeremy Renner feels about continuing to
to
play
play
that
the role.
character. So if he's like, yeah, I'll do this just to sort of cap things off. But if this is it, this is his final hurrah, then I would expect him to go out swinging. I don't know who the bad guys are. The villain
I
of
don't know.
some kind.
I know that Tony Dalton is part of the cast, and he's been in the last couple of seasons of Better Call Saul, and he's played
Yeah.
kind of like a villainous figure, and he's been incredible. If you haven't watched Better Call Saul, it's probably the best show on TV right now. Definitely watch it. But I don't really know. Someone can comment. Please comment if you know who the villain of this show is. But yeah, interesting to see what will happen there.
Yeah.
But again, that wraps up Disney Plus for the year. That should take us through the calendar year. November 5th, we are getting The Eternals, which again was a movie that we were supposed to get this year. We
Yep.
were supposed to get it earlier this year. Then we were supposed to get it later this year. Then it got
Yeah.
pushed back an entire year. It is directed by Chloe Zhao, who is making the Oscar rounds right now for her film Nomadland, which is apparently very good. I'm very excited to see that. This has a huge cast. Angelina Jolie, Kumail Nanjiani, Salma Hayek, Richard Madden, and Kit Harington reuniting from Game of Thrones. Brian Tyree Henry from Atlanta. Gemma Chan, who has already been in the MCU. She was in Captain Marvel, but she's in this too.
Yep.
Barry Keoghan from Dunkirk. Don Lee, Leah McHugh. Just a insane cast. All these people are essentially gods from what I can gather, which is pretty cool. And it sounds like they're kind of in hiding, but some major threat brings them out of it, which
Kang the Conqueror perhaps
could be. The Eternals fight the Deviants quite a bit in the comics, which are larger than life villains. So I think this is going to be insane. It looks like they used a lot of practical effects and built a lot of practical sets for the filming of this, which is awesome. I think I don't really know what to predict from this one, because again, it's a very
different,
lesser known property for Marvel. So I'm going to defer to you. What do you think's going to happen that's going to like just make people come out of the theater and go, wow, I couldn't believe that?
It could be just where they've been this entire time. I wonder if we're going to get a recap quickly about who they are, where they've been, what they've seen, and then obviously this is post Endgame,
right?
But I wonder, again, where will this lead? Where is this going? How does this set up the rest of the MCU? Is this the only time we're going to see these characters?
True.
Are any of them going to die? I'm actually really looking forward to the reuniting of the Stark Bros.
Yeah, man.
That's probably what a big high point for me. But I also think, I think, who is it? Kit Harington's character is the Black Knight.
Black Knight, yeah, man.
Which, I've seen some pictures
which
of him
is
in the
basically
comics.
Like Marvel Jon Snow.
Pretty much. So it's almost like
it's a little bit on the nose casting, but I'm excited for it. I think it should be good.
I do want it.
And I think Richard Madden, he's playing Icarus, which is kind of like Marvel Superman. He can shoot lasers from his eyes and fly and all this other kind of nonsense. So
it'll be interesting.
I'm hyped for it. And Kumail Nanjiani got ripped. Shout out to Kumail for like getting major league in shape for this movie.
I'll still challenge him to a deadlifting contest. So if you ever watch this movie, let's do it.
I will not, because I'll lose. But all right, and then to bring it on home, December 17th, 2021, the final Marvel movie, probably the one that's going to be the most completely fucking lunatic one of them all, is the third Spider-Man MCU movie with Tom Holland. Everyone is in this movie. I am in this movie. Nick is in this movie. Kevin, our other host, is in this movie. Ben Affleck is playing Batman in this one.
We're crossing comics here now.
Joking aside, it is a crazy cast from what has been reported. You're not only getting the Tom Holland Spider-Man character and all of the folks from those first two movies. So Marissa Tomei, Jacob Batalon, Zendaya, Jon Favreau, they're all coming back. But there's also rumors that Alfred Molina is playing Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2. Jamie Foxx
Yeah.
is playing Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Willem Dafoe might be coming back. You know, God knows who else at this point. Doctor
Tobey
Strange is going to show up.
Maguire.
And
Yeah.
and the big rumor is
Edge.
that all three of the Spider-Men are going to be in it. So Toby, Andrew, and Tom all at one
Yeah.
place. So I think part of this, you're getting the ripple effect from WandaVision and
Yep.
things getting torn apart and how Spider-Man has to handle it. But dude, what the hell is going to happen in this movie with all these characters, all these storylines and timelines just like smashing together?
Yeah. I just don't know how they're going to arrive to this piece of a possibly giant puzzle. It's crazy because, and maybe there's that much importance on WandaVision. What if the events that are happening in a couple of weeks present something that happens a year from now,
right?
Cinematically speaking. So it's almost as if, again, they have a plan.
They do. I believe they do.
Unlike,
Even with the Sony stuff, they still have a plan with what they're doing. So
right. So maybe DC should take note of that. But anyway, I think it's going to be something along the lines of the Spider-Verse, but live action.
Sure. Yeah.
So again, they might do something differently than Into the Spider-Verse animated movie. It'll be cool to see. I know people will probably, I don't know, if you're a big Spider-Man fan, you'll probably freak out a little bit to see Toby and Andrew alongside Tom. And it'll be pretty fun. I mean, you throw in 3 Spider-Mans, you throw in multiple villains,
villains.
Yeah, I can only imagine what the CGI would look like with 3 Spider-Men, webbing around a city.
It needs to happen in New York,
yeah,
right. Like it feels like it, because the first 2, Homecoming, it happens in New York, but like it's like New York adjacent, right? Yeah. And then Far From Home, almost all of it takes place in Europe. So I would love to see this one in like downtown Manhattan, Times Square, Brooklyn Bridge, like hit all the nostalgia from all 30 million Spider-Man movies that have already come out and do that. But
because this is filming in Atlanta, right?
They're filming in Atlanta. They did some filming in New York, but I think it's cheaper to film most of it down in Atlanta. So they're doing it there. I also heard, I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but Charlie Cox might be showing up as Matt Murdock in this.
So that's my big what do I want to see moment for that movie. Like it's like we're including Green Goblin and Doc Ock and Shocker, and I'm like that's fine. Where's Charlie?
Give me the devil of Hell's Kitchen.
Devil.
Yeah.
Give me that lawyer, damn it. You know what I'm saying?
That Netflix show, I loved it. Unbelievable.
Aside from maybe I don't know what season's better, The Punisher. I mean, I liked both seasons, but again, aside from John Bernthal portraying Frank Castle, which dude, he was born for that role.
I can't see anybody else playing him.
Again, if they ever bring him back into the MCU, like please have John Bernthal reprise his role.
The rumor is that the only 3 from the Netflix shows that are being considered for the MCU are Charlie Cox, John Bernthal, and Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones. So
she was really good too. I mean, so she could. There's a lot they could still do with her and where to fit her in. So I mean, hey, like. That would be that would be huge. I think he'd continue to kill it, and he's put a lot of time and work and effort into making that character relevant again. And it's sort of like, man, just give that man the glory.
I think they will. I think they have a plan, and I think they're gonna execute on all that. And even if it turns out being like a Hulu universe, because they can go a little more adult on there and they can on Disney Plus. I think they introduce them in the movies, cross them over in a TV show, because Disney and now with the Fox purchase, they basically own Hulu, so they have a controlling stake in that. They can do what they want, and I think they'll probably do something like that. But that's it, man. That's 2021.
What a year!
but it's almost like they're saying sorry for 2020 being so terrible.
Right. They're having a backtrack with so much. So it's like here's an overwhelming amount of content to geek out and nerd out over and to converse about. And I mean, for us, it's great. I mean, I think it's gonna, and I kind of feel bad for everything else that's being released, movie and show wise, because it gets to this point where do I find time to watch all this and then still do other things in life. But I mean, hey, this is, part of being a nerd and watching cool shit like this. Then, I mean, I'm all for it.
On board. We're here for it. We're going to talk about it both on the podcast and here on the channel. I think it's Marvel content for almost every single week of the year, which is, if you look back at 2008, we got Iron Man and we got Hulk, and that was it.
Yeah. And I kind of want to make a prediction on this video real quick.
Go for it.
And if you're watching, comment, put a comment down here below saying, do you think that after 2021 is over, people will or will not be fatigued with the amount of Marvel content that we're getting? Because I don't think so. After having a lack of it for an entire year plus,
dude, people thirsty.
Yeah, they're on that Marvel thirst. Like
the thirst is real.
Dude. I mean,
it's definitely a thing. So
I know I won't be, and just like there's so much six shows in a movie or 4 movies, and it's like that's it. That's all you got. Like,
10 different projects in one calendar year. That's just outrageous. But
can't wait.
But yeah, man, so that's it for this video. That's our run through of the 2021 slate of Marvel Studios projects. If you have a prediction of your own, or if there's anything that sticks out to you that you'd love to see more than anything else, definitely leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, find us on social media. We're at Real Heroes Podcast on Instagram, Real Heroes Pod on Twitter. You can send us an email if you got any questions, realheroespodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And just keep an eye on the channel for more videos like this, more podcast episodes. And until next time, see ya.